Chapow! Hello there, my friends. I'm here with a topical video that will be rendered 100% obsolete and totally worthless in just a few weeks. How you doing today? And I was gonna do a whole bit, you know, because the thumbnail and everything is like the great Nintendo Direct Drought, so I was gonna do a thing with the green screen where I got like a desert or something, and then I do a whole monologue about how it's been a million years since we've had a Direct, and but you probably know why I'm not doing that. It's because of my Pikmin video. So sorry, no joke for you. That joke, that threw it out the window. This is what you get instead. My off-the-cuff background. It's really not a good background, is it? No, I think I'm getting a little tired of it. I don't use it a lot anymore. I want there to be like a different feel for my off-the-cuff videos. So you got like the green screen for the regular ones, and then you got just something kind of natural, kind of casual for when I'm just kind of talking. And this one ain't doing it for me anymore. But I did the best I could. I don't have a lot of space to make a whole... People usually have their game collections and stuff. I just had this one little wall, so all I could do was just kind of put posters up. Put the, like, Club Nintendo posters up. And, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty plain. I need to do something else. I just don't know what to do. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll change it one of these days. I mean, it's not bad. It's just kind of some posters. They're kind of reflecting the studio lights. I don't know, just a little plain, I guess. So Nintendo Directs. It is January 23rd at the time of this recording, and we're kind of past the point. You know, they're not likely to do a Direct in January. They generally do Directs like early to mid-month. Like that's just, you look back at the, I reference this list on Wikipedia like all the time of Direct presentations, and yeah, like pretty much early to mid-month. And I don't know why they do it that way, but that's just kind of how they do it. They do other stuff like mini Directs and game-specific Directs and things like that, kind of all over the place. We're probably likely to get a Nindies presentation pretty darn soon. But we're looking, it's looking like a little bit longer if they're gonna push it into February, which I'm pretty sure they are. It's gonna be a bit. And of course, if they end up doing it, I mean, they could do it early February. If they end up doing it kind of mid-February, that would make 5 months. That means 5 months since the last major general Nintendo Direct. And looking back over this list, that is one of the longest stretches of time that we have had. Usually, it's like 2 or 3 months between Directs. Like early on, they were doing them every like 2 months. It's pretty interesting. There have only been a few times in the history of Nintendo Directs, which they're about 8 years old now, something like that. Only a few times when they've gone this long. June 2014 to November 2014. That was a good long stretch of time, but there were a lot of 3DS Directs in between there, so it kind of wasn't exactly the same, because 3DS back then was still, you know, one of their major platforms. Then June 2015 to November 2015, same thing, 5 months. That was a little more bare. So like, yeah, it was fairly in line with what we've got here. 2016 was a rough one. That was the last real Nintendo Direct drought. I can't even complain now. And I'm really not complaining, by the way. It's really just fun to talk about. Yeah, in 2016, there was one in March. That was the only one for the entire year, apart from one 3DS Direct. And by then, 3DS was kind of on its way out. I mean, you know, the further we go along in this timeline, the more 3DS is starting to kind of go away. I mean, by 2016, it was still pretty much a thing, you know, before the Switch. But yeah, one major one in 2016 and one 3DS one. That's bad. That's a Nintendo Direct drought right there. And so yeah, as you can see, there's only a small handful of times that we have gone this long, that we've gone 5 months without anything, without any major Direct. And I gotta tell you, man, it hurts. It hurts going this long without one. Obviously, I hate that I have to specify this. I'm not actually freaking out here. I mean, how many times have I said I'm not actually like, oh no, it's too long. No, it's kind of funny, and like it's really just building the tension very high. And I think that's it's kind of an issue, because then expectations go up and up, especially because this is the first one of the year, so expectations are naturally pretty high. People you know, ever since they did the big event in January 2017. And then even last year, it was a mini in January, which is not technically a regular one, but it still had a decent amount of, you know, reveals and stuff or whatever. So like, I don't know, expectations are pretty high. That is a problem with going this long, is that people are like, oh man, it's gonna be big. And like the more people are talking about it, the more rumors going around, the more people build it up in their head. And I definitely try not to do that. I try to go in without really any expectations at all. But that is happening. That is definitely happening. You can see it everywhere on the internet. People are going kind of nuts here. So a big question is, what's with the delay? Why have they chosen this time right here, especially after such an amazing holiday season, to kind of lead us on and go an unusually large amount of time without a direct? You want to know the answer? I have the answer. Just to throw us off. They're doing this, I promise you, just because they are the kings of left field. So they have the big January event 2017, okay. People are like, that's awesome. Tons and tons of games for the year. So then the next year, everyone's like, we're expecting another big one in January. We think that's what they're gonna do now. So instead, they're like, oh, you think we're gonna do a big one in January? Nope, here's a mini instead. Again, it was still fairly big, but I don't know. The branding at least was, nope, it's not a full one, it's a mini. So that took us by surprise. So then this year, everyone's like, okay, well, they have done something the last 2 Januaries, so now we're expecting at least something, even if it's another mini in January. So Nintendo goes, no. No, you think you got us pegged? You think we're gonna do something in January? Nope. February. That's it. That's how they work, man. That's how their minds work. I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious, but that's what they do. The second expectations really set in and everyone's pretty sure they know what they're gonna do, that's when they go, nope, change of plans, pushing it to February. And it definitely won't be the first time they've done one in February. They did, you know, I don't know if you youngsters remember this one, but way back when in, I don't remember, 2012 or 13 or something, they did one on Valentine's Day, and that was when they introduced the Year of Luigi. So it was a pretty big deal, you know, introduced the theme for the whole year, revealed some games. So yeah, it's very possible they'll do that again. That's the 14th is right there in the middle of the month. They could do, I don't know if it lines up with the day of the week they usually do. I'm not really sure. But yeah, February. And one good thing about this delay, it's not really a delay. They do these whenever they want. It's not actually a delay, just whatever. This unusually long stretch of time, you know, pushing into February. One good potential thing is that theoretically, that could mean that they're going to do another one not too long after that, you know what I mean? Like if they do one in January, the soonest one they're gonna do is March, and then if they do one in March, then naturally they're gonna wanna wait until they can do E3 in June, or else they're all really tightly crammed together. So if they're pushing this one into February, that means that we could potentially see another one in April, and then one in June, and only have to wait 2 months between each one. Or either that, or it's gonna be another super long stretch between February and June. Hope that doesn't happen. So yeah, at least in theory, this could be nice. It could kind of pack them a little more neatly, so we don't have to wait too long for the next one and then the one till E3. Basically just front loading our waiting time, you know, like our little extra wait that would turn a 2-month wait into a 3-month one. We're kind of doing it right here, doing all our waiting at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and then boom, just like direct. Hey, since we're talking about the next Nintendo Direct, though, why don't we talk about what we might see at it? I love prediction videos. I've already did a prediction video for the entire year, and I love to do them for, like, pre-E3, so, hey, might as well do one now. I mean, not exactly predictions. I'm not like, doing these are my predictions, just kind of, here's what we might sort of maybe expect to see. I'm on fire today. Very well spoken, very, high quality content. As I've said many times before, I don't expect a ton in the way of big reveals. There's so much stuff coming for this year and next year already. I can't imagine they have a ton of big names to reveal. But we're basically guaranteed to get a decent amount of new stuff on previously announced games. I mean, it's pretty much a guarantee. Yoshi, Fire Emblem, and Demon X Machina are, I don't know, they're definitely going to be there. Whatever we see, they're definitely going to be there. Yoshi, in fact, was one of the things earlier in the month when we thought they were going to have a Direct. Instead, they started releasing a bunch of info on social media making a bunch of announcements there, kind of deconfirming the Direct. It was Yoshi. They did like a release date for that one. Fire Emblem seems to be set to release in the first half of this year. At least I think that's what it kind of feels like. So I feel like we're going to finally get a big blowout on that one. Demon X Machina, I don't know exactly a ton about what its development timeline looks like, but those 3 games, I could see those making a really big appearance. The full blowout or release dates for everything. But the big question marks are the games that we know basically nothing about other than, that they're coming. You got Metroid Prime 4, you got Bayonetta, you got Animal Crossing. We have no idea how far into development any of those are at all. So any one of them or none of them could make an appearance and give us a real, either another teaser trailer or some real gameplay or even a full blowout. Sometimes that happens. They could come out and just tell us what the deal with Animal Crossing is. They could have a trailer for Metroid and be like, here it is, here's the theme, here's what's going on, here's gameplay, here's everything. Try not to get my hopes up about that, but it's completely possible. And that's what's kind of exciting right now. I try to set my expectations pretty low to kind of protect myself and tell myself, okay, there's a good chance none of these will show up, but it's like, all 3 of them have to happen someday, and I can't just keep saying, no, I'm sure it won't happen. Maybe they'll wait till E3, but you never know with Nintendo. Any one of them could happen. And then Luigi's Mansion 3 is kind of in between the first games I listed and the second games I listed. It's like it still could be a ways off, but we have seen gameplay in the first trailer, so it's kind of like it could need a lot more time before we get more info on it, or it could easily be fully blown out and given a release date or a release window or something. It still kind of feels early, but it's very possible, completely possible. And here's the thing, there was a rumor going around that Metroid Prime Trilogy would be announced at the Game Awards, and I usually don't follow that kind of thing, but every once in a while a rumor will extra catch my attention if it is just particularly persistent. We had people all over the place saying they're just like, man, I know a guy, and he says that it's gonna come out, it's gonna be announced at the Game Awards or announced really soon. Again, I don't usually listen to that kind of thing, but sometimes it's just that persistent and that heavy and that coming from that many different sources that I start to kind of feel like, yeah, I don't know, this could be real. There have been plenty of times in the past when a rumor I initially shrugged off just kept coming and coming and coming. The rumor was just real heavy, and it ended up being true. I certainly hope this one ends up being true. It did not get announced at the Game Awards. That could mean that it was slated to be announced at something, and they were just waiting for the next Nintendo Direct, something like that. I don't know. Again, try not to get my hopes up, but I'm not counting out the idea entirely that it might actually be true, and others people were right, they just weren't right about when it was going to be revealed. Obviously, make a really good business decision to release Metroid Prime Trilogy. That's a whole thing I'm going to talk about later. But I'm keeping my eye out, not getting my hopes up, but I'm definitely, I got one eye open when peering around, looking around to see if I can spot any Metroid Prime Trilogy announcements on the horizon. I have to say, it is hard not to get too excited about the idea of big reveals, despite me saying again and again, trying to keep my expectations in check. I don't think there's going to be any big reveals. It is still hard for there not to be a little bubbly bit of excitement in me for 2 reasons. One, because this is technically the perfect time of year for a big reveal, because for a big holiday release, Nintendo isn't going to go any less than 8 or 9 months. That's just what they do, reveal Super Mario Odyssey in January to release it in October. Last year, I feel stupid that I didn't expect anything big in the March Direct because we didn't have a big holiday title. You know what I mean? We didn't have that giant Nintendo blockbuster slated for Christmas. We had Pokemon Let's Go and that's it. So we should have expected that in the March Direct there would be something big because what was for the holidays? So I felt dumb there. So now we're here and it's are we in that position again? You know what I mean? If we are pretty sure that the new Pokemon will be released this Christmas or whatever, this end of the year, is that enough to be the big holiday title? Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was a little more, a little more casual, a little more reachy, so I could see that wasn't a big, huge thing. But if the next Pokemon looks really big and epic and cool, is that enough to be the big holiday title, or is Pokemon ever just the big holiday title? It's weird because you have Nintendo, the home console and the handheld are blended together. Pokemon would be a big holiday title for the 3DS, for their handhelds, but can it carry a home console? Can that be it? Or are we completely just sitting here waiting to get a giant drop for the big game that we're going to be playing on the Switch besides Pokemon this Christmas? And we do have a lot of games coming. We got Metroid, Bayonetta, Animal Crossing, all that stuff, but like none of that is really a big holiday game. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I would love it if Metroid Prime 4 was a big holiday game, but it's really not. It's still kind of niche, and like it'd be interesting if Nintendo tried that, because they'd be like, it'd be a marketing thing. It'd be like, hey, we are presenting this as our big holiday game. You should definitely buy it. But I don't really see that happening. You know, that Luigi's Mansion, Fire Emblem, any of that. Like none of these are exactly the big system selling crazy games. Even Animal Crossing is a system seller. It'll sell a ton, but is that a holiday game? Usually holiday games are like your Zelda, your Mario Kart, your Smash Brothers. And we have all of those already. So it's like we don't have much else left. What can we, I don't know. See, look at this, look at me. Look at me getting my expectations up now. I'm trying not to. So yeah, like I said, hard not to get too excited, because one, this is the perfect time of year for them to reveal a big holiday release, and two, I am always wrong. And I already said I don't think we'll get a big reveal in this Direct, and I'm always wrong, so that means that we will, because that's what happened last year, even though now I'm like kind of half and half. I'm like, maybe we will. Oh, man, I gotta stop. I gotta stop driving myself crazy here. And hey, I'm definitely still not counting out my Super Mario Odyssey DLC idea. Just the idea that, like, you know, say there's Pokemon in the holidays, and they're like, we need one more thing to push the Switch during the holidays for people who aren't a Pokemon fan. It could be like, hey, we don't have a new Mario yet, but we do have, you know, some big giant DLC pack we can kind of push as a way, you know, there's a big marketing push for that. It kind of looks like a new game, but, you know, you buy it with Mario Odyssey. You know what? It is not out of the realm of possibility that we get a Super Mario Odyssey sequel this holiday. It is not impossible. You know, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 were 2 years apart. This October, we could get another one. That's 2 years. Seems super unlikely, especially because the first one is still selling like gangbusters. It would almost like, would that cannibalize the sales? I don't know. That's another thing to talk about later. It is possible. It is at least possible, and that is exciting. And if I'm going to put my money on anything that I want, that doesn't make sense. You don't put money on anything you want. You put money on anything the thing's going to happen. If I'm going to put my hopes into one thing that's slightly realistic, it's that. It's Super Mario Odyssey sequel. This video really went somewhere. This became really long, really pretty rambly, huh? You're welcome. Well, hopefully we don't have too long to wait now. I mean, I'm sure we don't. Especially by the time this video goes up, I'm sure that we are just days away from some sort of Nintendo Direct presentation in whatever form it might take. And here's where I would wrap up the joke if I were doing the whole Drought Wasteland thing. Like I said, I'm not, because I did that in the Pikmin video. So I'm actually pretty glad I don't have to, because you know, anytime you start the video with something weird, you kind of gotta do a punchline at the end, and those are really hard to come up with. So kind of glad I don't have to, if I'm honest. Feeling pretty tired. Then go take a nap. Be sure to like and subscribe to all our stuff for more great